Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Hello Hot Flash, where we help you control the midlife change. I'm so excited to be here with my guest today, Dr. Tayo. Dr. Tayo, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. It's my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
As am I, as am I. Dr. Tayo, having gone through a rough journey to menopause and helping friends and colleagues to do so successfully, she became committed to helping women leaders breeze through menopause without resorting to extreme measures. Where were you like in 2017 when I needed you? Dr. Tayo developed a framework that using her medical knowledge and whole health practices helps women feel confident and like themselves again with fulfilling careers and revitalized relationships. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today because we want to help as many women as possible. So once again, Dr. Tayo, welcome to the show.
Thanks again so much. I'm really looking forward to where this goes.
So as am I. Tell us your story and why you're focusing on perimenopause. And for today, we're going to narrow that down a little bit more even to sleep. So why that focus?
Correct. It was one nice cold February morning in Toronto, Canada, which is, the Great White North. Everything is a bit cold at that time of the year. And I was at work. I was sitting at my desk at work reporting some films. I'm a radiologist mainly, specialized in radiology after my medical training. And all of a sudden, I felt this strange sensation. The best way I can describe it before or since was it was a bit like a cold electric shock. And it started in my chest, it went up to my arms and up my neck and stayed, and that was it. It was just like a slow thing. And I thought, okay, never heard it, don't know what it is, leave it alone.
Right.
Then about 20 minutes later, the same thing happened. And I thought, but I didn't have time to, you got work in front of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
Like everybody else, it's kind of like saying, this is not urgent. It's not going to take me to the emergency room. Let's get on with work. I can figure it out later. Then 20 minutes later, another 20, 30 minutes later, another one struck. And I went, and it was disturbing enough because it was coming with such regularity. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't continue like this. I can't concentrate. It was not allowing me to do, concentrate as much as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to think, and I went through my brain and I was thinking, what's happening here? What's happening? The things you go back to and say, what could be possibly happen? It's not cancer. It's not, I don't need to go to the emergency room.
Right.
Could it be? And as I went through my mind, it suddenly occurred to me. I said, while it wasn't hot
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't a flash,
Uh-huh.
it was technically a hot flash. So I thought, oh, wow. Because I looked at it and said, okay,
Right.
in my 40s at the time, I haven't been sleeping well. I was
Mm-hmm.
having all these symptoms. I was exhausted beyond belief. I couldn't concentrate much. So I had to spend all my energies concentrating on what I did, which is why it
Right.
struck me.
Right.
And when I looked back, I realized that this process had started maybe about 2 years ago, but it took that incident to bring it to focus, which is why I realized that that information needs to get out there. One, that it starts before your hot flash, and two, that you not only can you do something about it, but a hot flash may not appear as a typical hot flash. So being aware of it as soon as you hit 40s, things start going sideways, really, for a woman. And if you
Mm-hmm.
are aware of it, you can do something. So that was the journey that took upwards of 5 years, actually, for me to get past it and get to a place where I thought, oh, okay, I'm good.
Yeah. I'm happy that you explained it that way because I've never experienced that. And the more I talk to women, everyone's experiences are so nuanced, it's so custom to their body. So a lot of times you just make this assumption, oh, it wasn't a hot flash, it's not menopause. I'm still sleeping at night and so forth. But I want women to start hearing stories like yours so that they can associate with it and know that, perhaps it is perimenopause and I do need to take control of the situation. So thank you so much for sharing that. So you mentioned sleep and you mentioned that when you had that rush that you started to think back, like what has been going on? I haven't been able to concentrate. So let's focus a little bit on the sleep part because I know when I was sick, my whole goal was like, okay, I can have a hot flash all day long, but please don't disrupt my sleep. So how does the sleep disruption associated with perimenopause, how does that impact women, their lives, both physically and emotionally?
Yes, as you found out, I don't know if you were having night sweats as well, and maybe not, but most people, most women going into menopause experience what I call the early symptoms, which is what I had, i.e.,
Mhm.
sleep disruption and exhaustion, and one or two other things. It could be palpitations, it could be, loss of libido, a whole lot of things. But
Right.
why sleep for me was that sleep was what really my sleep suffered. I didn't sleep for 9 months.
Oh
I
my
hardly slept for 9 months while I
goodness.
was trying to figure this out and thinking, what do I do? I did everything. I researched it. I did
Yeah.
acupuncture. I did herbs and essences. You name it, I did it. Short of taking, I did not take sleeping pills, I have to say.
Okay.
But I started taking all kinds of things just to get sleep. And I realized that this not being able to sleep was robbing me of my energy, of my concentration, of my ability to focus, of decision making became more challenging. Eventually, I realized that sleep, and according to a good old sleep researcher, Matthew Walker, and a few others as well, they describe sleep as the bridge between despair and hope. So you go to sleep at night and you have these problems or these challenges or these anxieties. And I'm sure you have heard of this. You wake up in the morning, you've experienced it. You wake up in the morning, you feel, after a good night's sleep, you feel refreshed. You feel like you can take on the world. You feel like you can solve the problem. The problem that appeared large last night doesn't
Right.
appear quite as, quite as significant. And
Right.
that's because the sleep process is what gives us the whole process of sleep. If we get our sleep right properly, is what allows us to consolidate our memory. So, what you did during the day, you end up consolidating it into long term memory. Not only that, most people don't realize this, but sleep is also what repairs your body cells. It actually tosses out the old one, repairs the new. So you wake up with a refreshed body,
Yeah.
literally. It kicks out all those bad cells. So, in between, but a lot of people also don't realize that the process of sleep means that you have to have a decent length of sleep because where the memory consolidation takes place is at the end of a sleep cycle. And
Okay.
the end of a sleep cycle, each sleep cycle is about 90 minutes. The end of a sleep cycle is when you have what we call REM sleep, rapid eye movement, where you dream. And
Right.
when you start dreaming, that is when your memories are being taken from the day and being stored. And if you miss that out, the problem with the cycles is that at the very beginning of your sleep, the first cycle, you maybe have 15 minutes of REM sleep, and it increases with each cycle until you get to about maybe 1 hour by the fifth cycle. Now, the fifth cycle is 7.5 hours later. So, if you don't sleep enough, you're going to find yourself losing out on the benefits of archiving your memory and using it for the future. So, you need to be able to sleep that entire length, not in bits,
Right.
that entire to be able to get the benefits of sleep. That is the benefits of REM sleep. Then you need deep sleep, which comes before your REM sleep,
Mhm.
and that is what rehabilitates your body, refreshes your body, allows you to feel okay. It's like a washing machine. It throws out the old, refreshes whatever is left. So yeah, that's why I feel that, and I know that once I got that under control, you make better decisions. Your brain functions. You make better decisions about your food. You can exercise because you don't feel so tired.
Right.
You don't binge. You don't have cravings. Your concentration is better because you've taken care of your brain by refreshing our brains at night, and your body has taken a rest. It's
Mm.
important for our bodies. It's like machines. If it's like pouring, I was thinking of it the other day,
Mhm.
pouring water to an engine into maybe the fuel tank or something. If you
Right.
don't sleep well, it just disrupts everything.
Right.
So when you sleep well, then but you have to rest. The body is meant to rest. It's a machine. It's meant to rest. So the process of sleep also allows you to have a rest so that when you wake up, you're refreshed, you're innovated, and it's all go.
So I don't know if I've never heard this, didn't catch on to it when I heard it, but when you mentioned long-term memory associated with REM sleep, like I knew about the cell rejuvenation, I know about your liver and your kidney and all that stuff, but the process of your long-term memory resetting itself, or explain that to us a
Go,
little
go
bit more.
It's moving. So what it is
Okay.
whatever you do during the day, you
Right.
read a book, you read a fact, you have something going on, you have some memories, and it's during the sleep process, during that REM sleep, that moves that over from short-term memory. It's a computer, really. It
Right.
moves it from that short-term memory, which is maybe your floppy drive or something, into the hard drive of your brain, which says, and this is why you can recall memories like years later, because it has been moved over and stored, and you can recall with amazing clarity some episodes that happened 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And yet, maybe because you had disrupted sleep, something that happened 1 or 2 days. How many people remember what they ate yesterday?
I know,
Because
right?
it's not important.
Yeah.
But when it's important, you can archive it and it'll go to your long-term memory. Yes.
I love so I always say I love when I learn something new on the podcast. That's exciting to me. So I didn't make that connection and I appreciate that information. So give the audience one or two tips that they can use to get better sleep.
We're in the age of technology, and unfortunately, too many of us are attached to our phones. And that is an important disruptor of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the blue light that comes from it, but also the mere fact of scrolling and all the inputs. The shall we say amazing sensory? Not amazing. Amazing is not the right word. It's way too much stimulation for our senses, particularly when you want to go to sleep.
Okay.
So you see people with their phones and going up to bed and still answering phones and keeping it on and keeping it on the bedside as if things are. But so one of the most important things I say is for people to let go of their devices and anything that emits blue light. So all the electronic devices, anything that emits blue light, 1 hour before they're meant to get into bed.
Mm.
So get rid of that. You do something else. You read a book, you listen to music, you spend time with your family. There's a lot of things you can do 1 hour, which prepares your mind. It's like, calming down. It's preparing yourself to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you use your device, and the blue light actually disrupts the hormone called melatonin, which we need to get us to sleep. Now, melatonin, traditionally with our ancestors, and still with us, because we haven't changed that much, is a hormone that comes in when the sun sets. It reacts to light. It's part of our so-called circadian rhythm, which is a 24-hour cycle. It comes in when sun sets. Now, how many of us go to bed when it's sunset? Hardly any.
Anyone. Yeah.
So you're not going to bed when it's sunset. At least if we allow ourselves the fact that we have some not as much bombardment with that blue light, which disrupts melatonin. It allows melatonin to take over for us for the duration of sleep, and then we wake up in the morning. But melatonin is one of those things that is, blue light is ubiquitous in everything these days. Every device, lights are now daylight, etc., etc., and they are extraordinarily disruptive to sleep. And so if we can go to bed and on time and avoid those devices, that's the first thing. Keep it out of the room. Put it somewhere else. Let it charge someplace else. Putting it on do not disturb is not going to kill you till the following morning. And mine goes off, even though I'm in bed by about 10, mine goes off at about 11 o'clock, come hell or high water, and it doesn't come on until 7. So no emails, no dawdling through social media, none of that stuff. It doesn't enhance your life, really. Right. And it doesn't set you up. So that's my first tip. And it's what I say, you do that and you will discover your sleep will change. I promise. The second thing is consistency. The body likes consistency.
Right.
It doesn't like you suddenly waking up today or going to sleep at, 10 today and going to bed at 1 p.m. tomorrow. It doesn't know what to make of it. It's confused. Yeah. And contrary to all those warriors who will work 4 hours during the week and sleep 12 hours at the weekend, your body is just saying, I don't know what's going on here, and just gets confused.
Right.
Every single day, including weekends, requires a level of consistency. You can vary it occasionally by 1 hour max, but it needs to be the same day thing every day, pretty much, because melatonin actually, like I said, comes in over sunset, goes away just before dawn. It also is produced by the body in stimulation to what time did you wake up. So there's a complex relationship between melatonin and our bodies and sleep. And if we disrupt that relationship, the body just goes, hey, I give up. I can't cope with you anymore.
Yeah, those are two very, very smart things. And they seem so easy, but yet hard because we're so tied to our phone and we're tied to the idea that we can catch up on our sleep when we know that that's not possible for us to do. So, yeah, those are great. I know that you have something called the five superpowers. Can you talk to us about that and explain that to us some?
Okay, yes, because in the process of going through this journey,
Uh-huh.
I went through everything, as I told you. I went through, you name it, acupuncture, energy medicine. I did a whole raft of stuff. I actually did go through HRT, and still nothing seems to work. And I'm thinking, why aren't I getting back to normal? My dose of HRT was getting higher and higher and higher until a male colleague, when I happened to mention to him, says, "Hey, that dose is way too high." And I just said, okay, enough already.
Right.
Fortunately for me, I had been doing other things in the process of trying to look for a solution to be able to become healthier and functioning properly again. They
Hmm.
happen to be more holistic solutions, natural solutions. And that's why I got the five superpowers. There's nothing magical about them. It's just the way they're put together. It's sleep, nutrition, movement, brain health, exactly, as well as stress reduction, which I call Zen or tranquility, because you want tranquility, but you don't want to be like just hanging out. You want it
Right.
to be energized tranquility.
Right.
And that's why I don't use the word stress reduction, but to be in a state where you can, refresh and rejuvenate on the go if you need to, but being aware of your body status. And so those are the five superpowers. And if you put them together, not bit by bit,
Hmm.
but put them together in a harmonious fashion, it turns out that, like everything good, it is symbiotic, and the synergy gives you a better result than picking them off one by one. It's what we say, compound interest.
Yeah. Oh,
So instead of saying
yes,
two
yeah.
plus two plus two plus two, go
Right.
4 times 4, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 gives you a much higher exponential result. So you don't even have to do everything within each system. You
Right.
can do some of it here, some of it there, and still get good results because you are putting them together. It's the
Mm.
togetherness at that point in time of doing the right things that gives you even better results than picking up, I'm going to attend to my sleep today, and in next month's, attend to my diet, and in next month's, oh, start running sleep. People who diet only find themselves going up and down
True.
because they try one, it doesn't work, they try another, and the tragedy of that is that the more times they cycle, the worse the results.
Yeah. I call it my layered effect because when I was sick, I did the nutrition first because that was what I knew I had to get out of the way. But
Mhm.
until I started the exercise and the mindset and the stress reduction and started like layering on all of the things I need to do, that's when I started to see results. You're right. If you do it in isolation, one, it's easy to step away from it and it's not helping you build that temple of goodness that you really need. So I like those five. Yeah.
Great point, because yes,
Yeah.
I have this which puts them all together. It's a temple of
Yeah.
saying, yes, it's nothing extraordinary, but then it is also extraordinary in its execution because it makes you this superwoman, this powerful woman that you can be if you
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah, I
Mm.
love that. When we were talking a little bit earlier, you talked about how you tried everything, but you didn't try sleeping pills. So often women turn to sleeping pills, alcohol, and other types of sleep aids. What, in your opinion,
Yes.
works and what doesn't work?
Okay. I'm going to start with a quote I heard the other day, which I absolutely love.
All right.
I'll give you the reason behind it. It
Okay.
says, pills are permission slips to not change your life, which I found
Like a whole
truly
bunch of people's faces ran through my head when you said that. That's why I'm laughing. I will tell them who they are. They probably already know because they listen. All
yeah,
right. Those are
because
permission
if
slips.
I want this shortcut, but I won't change anything, and this pill will give me a shortcut. But here's the skinny on that one.
Mhm.
Pills, sleeping pills particularly, are sedatives, so they don't give you good quality sleep. It's like knockout drops. So you think you're sleeping because you are not awake.
Right.
But that is not the cycling going through it does not happen. It sedates you. And so you just there. You
Mm.
think you're sleeping, but it doesn't refresh you. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't get your memory done into the moving into the archive. It doesn't refresh your body because it misses all that out. And all it does is just like knockout drops.
Right.
And the same thing, alcohol works this very same way as well. And they're sedatives. So you can think that you're going to sleep easily, i.e., you fall asleep easier.
Right.
But staying asleep and getting good quality sleep don't come from either alcohol or sleeping pills. And I'm going to add another thing to that: melatonin pills. I didn't try melatonin for that long. I heard about it. I tried one or two things, but eventually my research led me to this: that melatonin prefers the melatonin that's made by your body. And if we realize that this process of making our melatonin is complex, it's
Mm-hmm.
not a simple putting a pill in your body and deciding, okay, it'll give me X number of hours sleep. It's interacting with the light, with the various things that's going on, with cortisol in your body, deciding when the cortisol is going to go down and when it's going to go up when you wake up. It's into all those complex interactions are missing from exogenous, i.e., that's melatonin given to you in a pill form. It can't titrate to what else is going on in your body. Whereas
Right.
your body's melatonin, natural melatonin, can adapt to whatever else is going on in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So I include melatonin pills with that for most people. Melatonin for things like jet lag, it seems to work.
Okay.
But for a solution in terms of a long-term sleep solution, you're also suppressing your body's own natural ability to produce melatonin.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting because I know that's an option that a lot of people take when they feel like I can't take it any longer. I need to figure out how to sleep. And it's marketed to us as a solution and a solution in the
It
menopause
is.
world as well. So yeah, that's interesting to hear, especially that the idea that it actually suppresses your own melatonin, and we don't want that. The body is created so wonderfully that it can do all the stuff that we need for it to do. We just have to take care of it.
Exactly. You described it. You said, the body temple, and it's amazing the complexity of it, thinking that that complexity is going to be replicated by a single pill.
Mhm.
Um,
So you talked about we talked just a little bit about HRT and the fact that you had taken HRT. Can you share some of the research you conducted or any other factors when deciding whether or not you would have a patient or someone that you know or love take HRT to manage perimenopausal symptoms, specifically sleep related?
in doing my programs, it's not, I don't have patients in terms of having patients and prescribing things. If I don't know you and it's only online we're meeting, it can't possibly be a patient physician relationship.
Right.
But it is based on all the various, like I said, research that I have done and readings, etc., and experiences as well for myself and my clients. And what happens is that HRT still remains the first line treatment for people who are going through menopause. And unfortunately, a lot of women got put off by the WHI study of 2002 because they came to, as I'm sure you know, they came to conclusions that were not accurate. In the first place, they were using an older cohort of women who were already well past menopause. And the second thing, they were using hormones made from horses' urine, Premarin, which is not anywhere close to what the hormones that we use these days are. Plus, the conclusions were different, and they have since revised it, but the revised information has not trickled down. So it still remains the first. I will still encourage women, if you don't have a medical reason not to take it, to explore it, because a good physician who is giving you advice about taking HRT or not taking HRT, in the first place, they should give you, I feel very strongly, bioidentical hormones, not the synthetic stuff. Unfortunately, bioidentical hormones, we know about the pink tax, is not usually covered in most people's insurance policies, and it
Right.
does cost quite a bit. And I was on bioidentical hormones, but it does cost quite a bit. And until we can have a time when those hormones are available on our various health plans, it remains out of reach for way too many women. So there is that bit of it. The other thing is that the risks were miscalculated because the risks of taking the hormones continuously for 5 years, your risk of breast cancer, which is what most people were concerned about, is no more than about 1 in 1,000, which is the same risk as if you were overweight and the same risk as if you took a glass of wine, every night or thereabouts. So the risks of breast cancer in the general population of women is higher than that. It's about 3 times 3 per 1,000. So those risks are very low, and they're still much lower than the general risk out there, even if you had HRT. So I
Okay.
still encourage women because it is a first line treatment and it does help take the edge off symptoms. And what I compare it to is, for instance, if you had a really raging pain, maybe surgery, maybe headache, etc., and you
Mhm.
needed painkillers, instead of taking small doses, you're better off taking the titrated dose that will take care of the pain because your requirement thereafter is going to be much lower.
Okay.
So if you start by taking HRT, we titrate it to you and you take, and I think the mistake that was made in my case was that I was given a low dose. And
Hmm.
so I kept on going higher and higher and higher. So give me an adequate dose, stabilize, and then you back it up
Okay.
with those lifestyle, with those superpowers that will enable you to get off them. Because as soon as I came off them, I discovered, wow, my changes clicked into place and I felt much better because I never really felt great on HRT. That's why I kept on taking higher and higher doses.
But say this again. I want to make sure folks heard it. You didn't just take the HRT and depend on that. You took the HRT, but you did the things that we talked about as part of the 5 superpowers so that you can eventually come off. I just wanted to
I
stress that
started,
part.
yes, yes, absolutely. I absolutely, that is very correct.
Yeah, yeah. I tell you, that's one of the questions that I get quite a bit from folks. Like, should I take HRT? Shouldn't I? And your explanation was great. What I'm going to do is after we get off, or at some point, I'm going to ask you to send me some links to research so we can put that in the show notes. I think that would be important for women to read because you're right. The mindset still is around that. What was it, 2002 study about folks getting breast cancer and not recognizing that the research was not done in the same manner that it's being
Yes, the interpretation of the research,
interpreted.
because they were trying to put that research interpretation onto women, younger women who are younger, who
Hmm.
were taking different formulations of hormones. It was just, and by the time the correction came out, it was too late because everybody, including professionals, you will find doctors who don't want to give women hormone treatment. I have colleagues who are menopausal, having a rough time, and still don't want to take hormone treatment. The take-up rate for hormones when that study was made was 40%. It dropped to 4% after the study and has never recovered.
Oh, wow. That's a huge drop.
Yes, and it has never recovered
Mm.
because people are still anxious. And then you know what happens? You have the bad news, and the better news or the correct news comes out, but it is never as widespread as that first poof in the fire.
Yeah, yeah. I thought about people who have their character defamed. Like, even though the truth comes out, it's kind of too late because you've already said it, and people are going to believe the first story, not the second story, no matter how much proof is involved.
No matter. They say there's no smoke without fire. And you say,
Yeah.
actually, there may well be because it was a wrong fire. It was another fire.
Exactly, exactly. So this has been amazing. I have 2 additional questions for you. I'd like to know what you are reading or listening to currently.
Oh boy. Oh gosh, I read all kinds of things. I read when I go to sleep at night or listen. I like audiobooks because they give me instant gratification without doing too much eye work. And I can get some things into my brain and then sleep and put it in my long-term memory. But anyway, I've just finished reading, what is it called? It's called Never Split the Difference by Chris Vaughan. It's an interesting book. It's about negotiation. I literally just finished it yesterday, I think. And it's about it, but the way he crafted it was quite something. And I also read whimsical books. I read Harry Potter for the first time not too long ago, and I was in awe of J.K. Rowling's crafting her stories. I don't want anything that when I go to bed, particularly and even during the day, is going to get me angst up and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's usually something to do with either my or business or just something completely out of the blue, a nice story, a nice fiction story, something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. How can folks get in contact with you?
I think I'm in a few places right now. I'm on TikTok as the Dr. Tayo. I'm on Instagram, same thing, the Dr. Tayo. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Tayo. I'm on Facebook. I've got a Facebook page, Dr. Tayo Sassy. And how else can they get to it? I have a website as well, getyourSassyback.com, which is what I want women to do. So you're able to say, guess what? Just because we're going through midlife changes doesn't mean all is lost. There is a lot to look forward to. And yeah, so
Those
those are the
are
different ways.
Yeah, those are amazing final words. I love that. And I will make sure that all of those links are included in the show notes. Dr. Tayo, this has been a very nice conversation. I enjoyed talking to you, and I always enjoy when I learn something new. So if you saw my head down, it's like, oh, I got to take a note on
Thank
that.
you. And I was going to ask, I was going to offer something for free to your readers
Yes, do
that will help, particularly with sleep.
that.
And these custom, lovely technology, it can really help us. And they're what I call Sleep Beats Pack, which will help you. What you need is headphones, and they synchronize your brain waves to help you sleep, fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. But the thing is that the way you have monkey minds, etc., it
Mhm.
takes that away and it synchronizes it. And they're custom made. And yes, I will provide you with a link. And they can also have the first chapter of my Menopause Mistakes book.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. All right. I will make sure that I get both of those and include that in the show notes as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Hello Hot Flash, where we help you control the midlife change. Make sure to check out the show notes where we include links to subjects we covered today. Want to discover how to manage your hormones so you can sleep better, have more energy, and manage your weight? Take the quiz on hellohotflash.com. It only takes 90 seconds. Everyone, here's to your health.